Greetings one and all to another Dark Rider pony analysis. I am the Nightmare Rider, Major Mind, reminding you as always that even the cheeseburger can be deconstructed to its original source. Pinkie Pie is currently my second favourite pony of the main six, surpassed only by Rainbow Dash. One of the biggest things that drew me into this show and the subsequent fandom was the depth of its characters in comparison to what I had seen from the previous MLP generations. Of course, cartoons from my childhood have had character depth before, with Beast Wars being one of the most fondly remembered, but in a modern context intended for an audience primarily 6 to 12-year-old girls, it really impressed me how much effort is put into developing these characters beyond their basic archetypes. Rainbow Dash is not just an arrogant sporty pony, she makes an effort to put the needs of her friends above her own. Likewise, Pinkie Pie isn't just a hyperactive party lover, she is also a very caring and emotionally mature pony who puts the happiness of other ponies above her own. Pinkie Pie is another episode which is exploring her character depth, highlighting her central flaw in how much she relies on the joy of others to fuel her own self-esteem. While on the surface she may seem to be completely absorbed in her own little world without paying much attention to those around her, as some episodes have unfortunately portrayed her as, nothing could be further from the truth. She is in fact very aware of the pony's feelings, seeing it as her personal duty to work her talent and make other ponies smile. While the levels of her emotional impulsiveness aren't always consistent between episodes, this and Pinkie Apple Pie are probably the two best episodes of this season so far to display her level of emotional maturity. She has become something of a figurehead in Ponyville for her party skills, so with Rainbow Dash's birthiversary coming up, she is determined to make this party the most epic and the most awesome as possible. She even gets surprisingly aggressive about it. That's how determined she actually is. However, much like in any part of life, there are always going to be other people who share your talents and hobbies, many of whom are often considerably better than you. So when Cheese Sandwich shows up and proves that he is an even more extravagant party pony than Pinkie is, Pinkie starts to feel dejected and depressed. It is clear from the first song of this episode that the majority of Ponyville follow Pinkie as a spark for the general party atmosphere. They are not so much partying because of Pinkie Pie specifically, more so they are following the zeitgeist of said party atmosphere and what Pinkie is able to bring to them, with Pinkie now being outclassed in extravagance by Cheese Sandwich. This can be excusable considering that the general public more than likely does not know Pinkie Pie personally, but what I cannot excuse is the fact that her friends go along with it so easily. I can understand that Rainbow Dash will be going to impulse to some extent, but even though she does say that she does not mean offence by commenting on how much more the epic party of cheese will be compared to Pinkie, it feels very insensitive to her and the other members of the main six to completely forget how personal the matter is to Pinkie. This episode could have easily had at least a couple of scenes where they start to worry about how Pinkie is feeling, acknowledging how Pinkie has reacted negatively in the past. I must admit that this isn't as big a problem as I may have initially thought of, since they did admit towards the end of the episode that they were being inconsiderate, but at least something other than total ignorance of how bad Pinkie is feeling would have made the characters feel more solidly written. The worst offender is Twilight, since she literally checks on Pinkie, but may as well have completely shrugged off Pinkie's emotions since she didn't respond to them at all. This is, however, probably the only major complaint I have about the episode. Everything else that is on display is pure perfection. The musical score of this episode just perfectly reflects the emotion of each scene, forwarding the plot through what the characters aim to achieve. Pinkie Pie's first song sets the stage for the grand scale humour that this episode is going to focus on. The introduction of Cheese Sandwich, which follows, is all about one-upping Pinkie Pie on the energy and wackiness of his partying skills, with Pinkie being initially excited about meeting another party pony like her. However, as the song plays on, Pinkie becomes increasingly saddened as she is completely overshadowed by the skills of Cheese. Pinkie's lament is the perfect piece to show the weight that this conflict has had on her, with her considering trying other skills that she may be suited to. But the more she reflects on where her initial inspiration comes from, the more she is determined to show how skilled she is at partying. Instead of moping in constant sadness, she picks herself up and decides to prove herself to win back the affection of her friends. All this to an amazing orchestral piece that reminds us to some extent of the song Let It Go from Frozen. It is starting from a place of sadness and defeat, turning it into a sense of rejuvenation and life. Weird Al Yankovic just brings the character of Cheese Sandwich to life. He has all the energy needed to keep up with the fast-paced wacky visuals, especially during the goof-off with Pinkie. At the same time, time, he is able to convey a range of emotions that give his character a genuine heart to him. The goof-off itself is such a delight to watch. It is an epic polka-fueled music duel which has more and more over-the-top party antics, which makes it an even funnier episode than Three's a Crowd, especially with a polka rendition of the Smile song. As Josh Scorcher, aka Commander Firebrand, said in his analysis, it is amazing to see that Cheese Sandwich is an antagonist, but not necessarily a villain. He doesn't intend to be malicious and never once insults or puts Pinkie down personally. All he ever does is try to show his skill on a comparable level to Pinkie. He never revels in his victory of the goof-off either. In fact, he is quite surprised by Pinkie's surrender. Rainbow Dash herself shows to be quite reluctant about the goof-off, showing that she never had any intention of making the situation confrontational, subtly showing that she is starting to recognise she misjudged the situation. She just wanted her party to be fun, not a massive argument. Like in the episodes such as Too Many Pinkie Pies, this is where we get a prime example of Pinkie's emotional maturity. Pinkie immediately forfeits the goof-off as soon as she sees Rainbow Dash hurt, since the suffering of her friends is the complete opposite to what she strives to achieve with their parties. What follows is what makes the episode one of the best in season 4 so far. I mentioned how the main five not only apologise to Pinkie, but Cheese Sandwich actually tells Pinkie how she was the inspiration for him to become a party pony to begin with. This is so heartwarming because Weird Al lowers the tone of his voice, developing through the song to relay a sense of awe and wonder at how much he is inspired by a party of Pinkie Pie. It makes him a fully developed and realised character, which the show is fantastic at, even for a minor character. This all culminates with Pinkie and Cheese teaming up to create the most epic party Ponyville has ever seen, which is an amazing feast for the eyes and how much is going on. This season has come in leaps and bounds with its animation quality, with this episode being just one of the latest examples of how much effort is being put into the epic and spectacular settings. Cheese Sandwich gives Pinkie Pie her rainbow item in a form of a rubber chicken, boneless, and walks off into the sunset. The episode ends with Pinkie making a joke about never knowing his name, despite the amount of times that it was repeated in the episode. I could nitpick and count this as a poorly thought out reference, as Mr. Enter did, but it has little input on the plot compared to the astounding amount of awesomeness come before it, so I can let it slide. Now for my final thoughts on the episode. Pinkie Pride initially gave me mixed feelings due to the way Pinkie was so quickly left in the dust after Cheese's introduction, but everything preceded this in terms of emotional development, hilarious visuals, unforgettable musical numbers more than made up for it. Not to mention some subtle references to previous episodes that don't shove continuity directly in your face. This is an episode that will probably go on the favourites list of many a Brony and Pegasus-sister long after season 4 has passed. I give Pinkie Pride an enthusiastic grade of an A+, as well as adding it to the must-see MLP episodes list. It is honestly impossible for any fair critic to not recommend this episode to every fan of the show, old or young. Until the next review, this is the Nightmare Rider, Major Mind, riding out.